Incoming transmission.
Hey everybody, this is Ed Pogue. That's right, it's boosting the signal, and this week my guest needs absolutely no introduction. You know him from all things Trek culture. It's Seán Ferrick. Hey Seán, how's it going?
I am very good, and I'm very happy to be finally talking to you like person to person because we've socialed so much, we've insted so much, but we haven't actually had a chance to have a chat before. So I'm
No, I
so happy to be here to talk to you.
I appreciate it, and I'm glad to be here too. I have to say, over the last, let's say, 4+ years at least, seeing you on Trek Culture and constantly talking to my screen, being like, no, 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 Seán, or answering a question before you get to it, or like, are you going to talk about this? And then you do. And it's so I feel like, it's been a one-sided relationship, but I'm glad that we can talk. So, how have you been? How's it going? And as I think about it, I should have given you a better introduction, but you really don't need one. I think everybody knows you.
Mostly that's because of my crimes. So thankfully, like thanks to shows like, Europe's Most Wanted and all of those true crime documentaries. Yes, thankfully my name is out there. No, I'm very good. Thank you very much. I am like I'm really because obviously we're talking it's the start of December. We are just over a month away from Starfleet Academy, so we're getting new Star Trek soon. So I'm happy anyway. A lot of people are looking forward to Christmas. I'm looking forward to January. Like I'm that person.
No.
So I'm good. I am good. I'm over. I am traveling again at the moment because I'm never in one place for longer than a week. So I'm over in Scotland actually at the
Oh,
moment. I'm here with my partner, which is lovely and fun as I look out on. I would say it's very rainy outside, but I'm from Ireland, so it's a very normal day outside.
yeah, I'm from Ohio, and that's about the same thing here. It's always terrible weather. So just constantly. But hey, you're in Scotland, play some golf, whatever. Rain is good golf weather.
I could try some golf. All right, I have a really pointless story that I'm going to tell you. I'm going to do it really, really quickly, okay?
That's fine.
So, when I was like say 11, 12, 13, I did a lot of the pitch and putt. It was fun. It was great. We had a course really close to the house. So, did that. Thought I knew what I was doing. I went for one round of golf with my grandfather. And it was down in, if for the golf enthusiasts out there, it was in the Rosslare golf course down in Wexford in Ireland. And we went, and I was so bad that after 9 holes, my grandfather threw in the towel. And he was just like, look, we've been here longer than most people who do 18. It's time to
Wow.
go. We're losing the light. And I'm like, it's just nice to be here. And that was the round of golf I have played in my life.
Wow. Well, that's still probably more than me. So, other than putt putt, take we and I haven't even been putt putt. That's one of those things like it's weird to think about. And you got me thinking about it. I was like, I haven't done putt putt in probably 30 years. It's just anyways, that's a whole golf thing. Anyways, Star Trek, how's it going? Yeah, I'm excited about Starfleet Academy. I watched your breakdown recently, which is old news by the time anybody sees this. But I watched your breakdown recently of the preview, the 4-minute preview. I loved it. I don't understand. There, of course, we're always going to get people that dislike everything. I don't want to
Of
use the
course.
H word, but they dislike it, and they think I'm being sarcastic when I say I liked it. I loved it. I thought it looked really good. It gave me good hope. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, Christmas, okay, whatever,
Like, because I'm one of those people. For me, Christmas is just getting together with family and friends. Because I am a man of a certain age, who doesn't have children, so that sort of side of Christmas is not so much a thing. Like, I am the youngest in my family. You know what I mean? So like, I was the last person to get presents under the tree, if that makes sense. So and so for me, I'm definitely looking forward to all of that. But yeah, like I have to admit, like my excitement is for January the 15th.
yeah.
Um, and that probably says an awful lot about me and the way my brain works. When it comes to like, Sean, what are you looking forward to most this year? Not this year, early next year. Okay, Sean, we're not inviting you to the next party. That's fair. That's fair.
No, I get it. As a man of a certain age, as you would say as well, my kid is gone. He's grown up. He's out. And he's living life with his husband, and that's his life. I like he they came to visit recently, and we gave them their Christmas gifts 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, because we knew we wouldn't see them at Christmas. It's like they got to
Hmm.
go do, his husband's family and everything else. And I get that moves on, but it takes away from my joy. And like my wife's like, well, we got to decorate the house. I'm like, why? Nobody's coming here.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I think I do have my partner is coming to visit for Christmas, so we are going to decorate, but I definitely understand the well, if I wear a Santa hat, I stick them up a Christmas Carol on the TV and I have some mulled wine. Is that not the same?
I think it's equal. It's equal. And this is
Perfect.
the
Well,
second week in a row someone has mentioned the Muppet Christmas Carol. I keep thinking maybe there's something telling me I need to go watch it again.
oh my God. Like for me, it's every year. It is
Yeah.
Christmas Day every year. That is a movie that goes on. Um, oh my, I just love. I've grown up with that movie. I love it so much. I'm gonna probably watch it after this. I'm not gonna lie.
I know you have an affinity for Star Trek Generations. Do you consider it a Christmas film?
It is absolutely a Christmas film. Because now I know the definition of Christmas film can be loose for a lot of people. For example, I'm Die Hard is a Christmas film. It's a
Me
Christmas
too.
film.
Same here.
For several reasons. Yeah, I mean, like the fact that it is a Christmas film. But there's a meme I saw going around the other day where it's a Christmas film because it's about a family member who gets dragged along to an event that they don't really want to be at and disaster ensues. Is that not Christmas down to a T, you know?
Oh yeah.
Um, or a certain type of Christmas. But yo, Generations, 100%. Is it the only is it the only Christmas tree in Star Trek? No, no, no,
No.
I'm not going to commit to that. I think there's another one.
I
Um,
as I say that, I think you're right. I think there's something else. I know there's at least a. Oh well, did we not see Christmas at the end of Strange New Worlds season 3 when we had the.
that sounds right.
I think we did. I think there was a in Pike's fake future or whatever. I'm pretty sure there was something to that effect. But I'll have to go back and rewatch. Anyway, yeah, and then we were watching Charlie X the other day, and I was like, this is a Thanksgiving episode. I was like, why
Oh
did we
yeah.
not watch this at Thanksgiving? You know.
I love it. There's so many episodes dotted throughout the whole thing like that. That we might remember one or two things. Like what I remember from Charlie X is when he disappears that woman's face. Like it's horrific. Um, and then I completely forget the fact that yes, it's a Thanksgiving episode, and also it's the episode where Uhura sings.
Yeah,
Like things like that. You just kind of because everyone, if you say Uhura sings, Charlie X is probably not the first example that comes to mind when you think
Star
of
Trek
Uhura
5.
singing. Fan dance and all.
Yep,
Yep.
yep. First thing I think about is Star Trek 5. Although to that, I have. Oh, it's not even over here anymore, is it? I have a Nichelle Nichols cassette tape that a friend of mine got me recently, and I love it. It's like I had to find a cassette player to play it, but well worth it. And I had never heard some of her music outside of just in Star Trek. And then I realized some of it's on streaming. I recommend people check it out. She had a beautiful voice, beautiful voice.
Hmm.
How she did not get a record contract. I mean, she had a record contract, obviously, but she wasn't a bigger star. I think is a sad state of affairs. But
I think right. It's interesting that you say that because I remember doing research for an article before about people who were, well, for want of a better word, sort of typecast by being in Star Trek. And I don't think Nichelle was typecast, but I think the original series crew had to work that bit harder to sort of get out of, like DeForest Kelly spoke
yeah,
about how he had accepted it and he wasn't upset about it, but he knew that he would only ever be remembered as Dr. McCoy. Leonard Nimoy obviously published two autobiographies. I am not Spock, I am Spock, and even actually just out of the back of my mind, not TOS, but Patrick Stewart speaking to William Shatner in the Captain's documentary saying he is certain that probably he's going to be remembered for Captain Picard. And what's funny about that to me is that you have people who have massive careers, backstory, talents outside of Star Trek. DeForest Kelley was a Western actor where he often played villains. And people will remember or they will focus on this one aspect of their career. Now, as Trekkies, it's not like I'm sad that, like, oh, great, we get to talk about Uhura and we get to talk about McCoy and everything. But yet, like, when I think of Nichelle Nichols, absolutely, yes, she is an amazing singer and performer. And then she has the fact that she is directly responsible for so many women going into space as well. And you're thinking, how can one person do all of these things, no matter how long and successful a lifetime is? It's one lifetime. And, how come she wasn't a bigger recording star? Your absolutely fair question. And on the other hand is, good Lord, she was busy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's Nichelle Nichols and Leonard Nimoy, and they're all great examples. I recently learned through an interview I did here about like other things. Like we all know that Frakes is a director, but like the
Hmm,
voice acting, we know like with Gargoyles, people will think about Gargoyles for Frakes. But like I recently, one of the most amazing things I'd ever heard was he did a voiceover for a cartoon for Adult Swim called, oh wow, Street something. I don't know. It was talked about in an interview I did with Mike McCafferty. It was a show that he had done, and Adult Swim didn't like Frakes, and they refused Frakes. I'm like, how do you say no to Jonathan Frakes? And
right?
then but then even to that effect, I mean, like I recently Michael Rosenbaum talked to him and I found out about how he was in that album that he had done where he had performed and it wasn't used and just like how do you say no to Frakes? But and for me, I always think about him on Civil. Like if outside of Star Trek, I go to Frakes on Civil. That's like and even then, that's Star Trek
Do,
related.
You shared that recently, didn't you? Because I remember seeing the picture, because I remember I watched it back when it aired.
Mhm.
Yes, people, I'm old enough to have watched that when it aired. Did you share that recently, that scene?
It was not me that shared it, but I did reshare that share. I'm always trying to
Okay.
help other people boost their signal, but yeah, it was when I saw that it brought back the memories. It's like, and I know like if I Sybil is in the same, I'd say not classification, but I'd say right up there with like Golden Girls. I'll put it on as like just background.
Mm.
So it's amazing, and like I've probably gone through Golden Girls more times than I've gone through Sybil, but still, but um, watch Golden Girls, people.
I just finished my first ever watch through of Golden Girls
What'd you
quite
think?
recently. I loved it. How did they get away with some of the stuff they got away with in the late 80s and early 90s? I'm watching this going like, you wouldn't get away with that today.
Did you watch Golden Palace afterwards?
I've seen a bit of it. I've started it.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I know in myself I'm like I need to give it a chance because I miss B Arthur
Yeah.
obviously. Now I know she does turn up in it, but yeah, I need to just sit down and go, right. Okay, Sean, this is different. This is the next generation to the original series. That you're
Yeah.
allowed to have things that are shaped differently and look different. Plus Don Cheadle is fantastic in everything he ever does.
Oh
So,
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's I didn't Alice. I don't know if you ever watched Alice when you were a kid, but Alice, I think they did a spinoff too, where it was like Mel's Diner or something afterwards, and it didn't last as long. But I think it's because you miss the characters and stuff like that, and I think that's probably what hurt Next Generation at first when it first started. Like we
big
did,
time.
we were expecting Spock, Kirk, and McCoy, and we didn't have Spock, Kirk, and McCoy. I remember reading about it in Starlog magazine. I'm that old, and like reading about Next Generation, and specifically, I remember focusing on an article that where the bridge was too big and they couldn't fit it on the stage. And I remember a drawing of showing the bridge breaking through the stage, and I'm like, we don't need no big bridge. We need Spock, And of course, I'm just a little kid. I didn't understand, but but yeah, I mean, change is hard, and that same can be
It
said for
is.
life. So
No, you're so right. So I came into existence. TNG was on the air. I missed it by a few months. I was born February '88. And so, it's always been there for me. But to a certain, no, I wasn't reading the, comments or anything. To a certain extent, I remember DS9 airing. I
yeah,
do remember the lead up to Voyager, and I certainly remember, things like Enterprise as we go along. And every time, I do think it boils down to it's different, so I'm nervous.
yeah,
And I have sympathy. I really do have sympathy for that because you get it's to borrow a phrase from Picard, and to paraphrase it, you get used to something so that it's like old worn leather, you know, um, and then it just fits and it's comfortable to sit in that. And changing that up does, it introduces a bit of a, oh, I remember Worf joining Deep Space Nine, and that was a bit of a, I enjoyed it, but it's like, oh, okay, this is different. We've changed things up. I remember Kess leaving in Seven of Nine, joining Voyager,
yeah,
and we are now, obviously, we can look back on these things with a few decades of hindsight and go, well, obviously that was great for that, and that definitely worked. And, while I really like Pulaski, yeah, I think the original configuration, with Crusher there probably worked better for the TNG crew. Sorry, Denise. And, it's change can be good, but you do have to give it a chance. And I think where I both have sympathy and I get frustrated today is it's the same thing. Change can be, challenging, but our patience, I do think, has shortened considerably. And there's many, many factors for that. Part of it is how television is made these days. I mean, now we're down to 10 episode seasons. So you're getting 10, that's just, and unfortunately, that's probably not going to change anytime soon. The landscape of television doesn't really allow for that anymore. That might change. And so there's so much sort of build up and investment and oomph always put on these new shows. Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, Prodigy, Strange New Worlds, and now Starfleet Academy. And you have people who are both very willing to try something different and try something new. And you have people who are really struggling with the idea of trying something different and trying something new. And where I have sympathy is that these people have always been there. Like you said, in Starlog magazine, I've read some of those articles like this'll never take off. What do you mean? There's no Vulcan on the bridge. This is awful, awful. And then what do you mean they're gonna sit on a space station and not go anywhere? They're not Star Trekking. This is, and so on and so on.
yeah,
And, then those shows go on to be beloved in their own right. I, we are facing that now. I think we are still, even though it's finished, still dealing with that a little bit with Discovery because Discovery, and I say this with all the love, Discovery wore its difference on its sleeve. It really did, and I think it challenged people. And it came out at a time when, yeah, patience was quite a bit shorter. So all of this to say, you mentioned that clip of Starfleet Academy came out. And I want to focus on the positive. I have seen quite a lot of people go, oh, now the trailer didn't do it for me. The poster didn't do it for me. But actually now having seen footage from it, I'm coming around a little bit. And I've started to see more and more of that, which I'm like, great. My only vested interest in this is that I am a Trekkie and I want there to be more Star Trek.
Yeah.
So that's my vested interest. So I want everyone to enjoy as much Star Trek as possible, so they keep making it. Um,
I like the poster. I thought it was tongue in cheek. I don't know if that was their intention or not, but I thought it was kind of funny. And to me, it reminded me of Boyhood, the Richard
oh
Linklater
yeah.
film. That was the first thing I thought of. Everybody was like, "Oh, 90210." It's like I never thought about 90210, but I do have a thought. I'm a podcast guy. I'm all over the place. So I'm always listening and watching Michael Rosenbaum, Instead of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
Mm.
And he had, oh, what is his name? Brian Austin Green. He had him
Oh
on
yeah.
his show recently. And he said something that I didn't know. Okay, so like when 90210 was starting, we're talking like late 80s or whatever. And I guess there was
Oh
articles in
yeah.
newspapers, and I looked it up and verified this. People didn't expect it to work because nobody cared about a little city in California called Beverly Hills. And it's like now it's the name is said with reverence, you hear it, you think of, things that are, decadent and so on and so forth. And so I thought about that, and that quote has stuck with me because I'm thinking about Starfleet Academy. I think about the poster. I think
Mm.
about the homage to 90210, and I think maybe one day we're going to look back and maybe Starfleet Academy can be a word that's said with reverence and not with disdain or trepidation. So that's my hope.
I mean, I'm right there with you. I love that anecdote. I actually, because I do try and catch Michael Rosenbaum, but I haven't seen the one with Brian Austin Green.
Spoiler. Sorry.
And no, 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 you're grand. Because now I'm just thinking of his cameo in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and I need to watch that again. Uh, but that is such a good point because times change, and with a few exceptions, in Star Trek debut seasons. Now I'm saying this, not a,
Nope.
the episodes haven't dropped yet, right? But debut seasons can often be up and down as people figure out what works, what doesn't work. Acting. I I am going to go on record and say Patrick Stewart got there. He got there, and then we got Picard eventually,
Yeah.
because they were creating a new character. They were creating it together. It's, Patrick Stewart, this well-known Shakespearean actor, brought that to the role. It was all a bit kind of, tight, da, 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 and then we sort of settled into it. The reason I kind of like to try and remind people of that is that Star Trek, I think it's a lot of the season ones of Star Trek were a bit bumpy. And funny enough, I think TOS is nearly the except. I think they kind of had their they
It's
sort of had
reversed.
their formula from pretty much from the jump. And I think, funnily enough, I think the fact that Cage wasn't picked up helped that.
Yeah.
I think if it had gone straight from the Cage, it would have been a bit of a bumpier season one. But of course, my heart still hurts about that because I love Jeffrey Hunter as Captain
To
Pike.
be on the dark
Um,
side of that, I'm glad the Cage didn't. Because if you think about it, they lost Jeffrey Hunter a few years later. Could you
yeah,
imagine if Jeffrey Hunter was Pike and we had Pike and we're doing Pike, and imagine we get 3 seasons of Pike and then, well, let's do some movies. Well, we don't have Jeffrey Hunter anymore. You know,
I have I have a conspiracy theory. Would you like to hear my conspiracy
I
theory?
would love to hear it.
I think the fact that he wasn't in Star Trek contributed to his death.
Really?
And my theory behind that is that so he does the cage and the cage is not picked up. And then it is well documented that his wife turned down for on his behalf without checking with him that no, he wouldn't return for Where No Man Has Gone Before. Now, this was
Huh.
quite early on in the process for that. When they were told do another pilot, it wasn't do another pilot without Pike. It was do another pilot. And so they approached him and just, nope, not happening. Thanks very much. Which then led to William Shatner and Kirk. But Jeffrey Hunter then returned to film because he was a film star when he had done The Cage. And he
Yeah.
returned to Westerns, which is something he was very good at. On the set of one of those westerns, he was in a car when a squib that was supposed to explode a window outwards malfunctioned and it went inwards, causing him a head injury, which contributed, among other personal factors, to a couple of hemorrhages. And I'm 90% sure a stroke was involved right at the very end. But it was things like that that had contributed to his, his death in 1969. So
Butterfly
my
effects.
conspiracy theory, 60 years later, is if he'd been on the Enterprise and
Mhm.
hadn't been there during that, but we will never know. And his son, Christopher Hunter, has also said there was other contributing factors to his death as well. So while I might like to go, it was that Star Trek would have saved his life, I think there was other things as well.
So it's a butterfly effect all the way around.
I
That's
think so.
I didn't know that. I never heard about the squib or his wife. That's all new information to me. Now, see, you talk about earlier. You were talking about you doing the research for things, and I can okay. Just out of curiosity, and you if you don't want to go inside baseball or spoil anything, you don't have to. But when it comes to like okay, give you an example that an episode airs. Okay,
Mm.
or no, let's do an episode because I'm pretty sure you get your episodes in advance for screeners and stuff. Is that correct? Okay,
We do
so
we do a little bit. Yes, yeah.
okay, so let's go with something that's breaking news, like the preview, and you got to do some research or whatever. How I mean, like, how much time do you have? Is there a are you put on a clock?
So I'm going to use the pre right. So the preview. I'm delighted you brought that up because that is a special case, right? So here was my Saturday night, Sunday morning from my perspective. So I knew I was traveling on Sunday morning, right? I had a very early flight, and I'm about a 2 hour drive from the airport. So I went to bed early on Saturday. So I think I went to bed at nine, half nine. And then I set my alarm to wake me up at 2 a.m., which would have given me plenty of time to jump in the car and get to the airport. No problem. My flight was at 6 a.m. But just as it was sort of a bad night's sleep. And when you're kind of, you have to get up, it's kind of hard to fall asleep. So as it happens, I woke up at one like that. It was as if I'd taken a shot of coffee. And I went, all right, I'm awake now. Lying in bed thinking, do you know what I might do? I might get up, do a little bit of admin. And then I picked up my phone. And of course, it was blowing up because this clip had just dropped. So I went, right, well, I know I'm going to do a breakdown of this, but I also know that as soon as I get in the car, it's going to be minimum 5 and a bit hours until I can sit down and break it down. So woke up at 1 a.m. I was in the car at 2:30 a.m. with the thing filmed and uploaded.
Wow.
So the only reason I was able to do that, one is because I woke up so awake, but because it's brilliant, it's fun. And a lot of it was what you saw on the screen. Sometimes you get a trailer and it's like, we're going to be hours picking through the Easter eggs for this one.
Yeah.
But that one specifically, so that was very, 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 very short turnaround time. So I'd say, yeah, from hitting play on the clip to walking out the door, maybe an hour and 20. Um, and thank goodness it was 4 minute clip and not the full episode. I would still be there. Um, but yeah, if it's something, you know, uh, back before we got, so you're right, we do now get screeners, and thank you very much to the people who send them to us. But that's not always been the case. So some episodes of Lower Decks have been challenging, particularly the one with the Collector's Museum. It was a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
fun to do, but my
Citation Ops was
goodness.
fun in that one.
I had so much fun doing it, but myself and my editor were like, every time we thought we were done, we saw something else. We're like, oh, did you see the novel of the Hotel Royale? No, I didn't. What timestamp is that? And it was a lot of fun. But of course, that was one that was released. We got it as everyone got it. And you still want to try and hit your, you know, as much as possible, we want to get the ups and downs out on the day of release because you want to be a part of the conversation. That's what the push is about. You know, you do this, you understand how it's like, you know, like if you're a few minutes behind somebody else, then there
Yeah.
it's the annoying part of what we do is trying to get out as quickly as possible. But that one was a bit like, now, are you sure we're done? It's been 9 hours. Are you sure? I've actually found three more. Oh, for the love of. And it's just a process and it's fun. And, you know, you have to be as mad as a box of hammers to do it.
Well, I kind of love it when that happens in a little bit of a way because then you'll cut in with the, you can tell Sean's in a different location and it's like, all right, like I missed this one, it's like, and it's like, okay, because I'll be watching like Cetacean Ops. I look forward to Cetacean Ops on anything because it's like, I want to see if you caught it, what did you catch? And then it's I started to realize that you were doing the screeners because I was like, okay, so I'm gonna message you about this, and I was like, did you catch it? And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this has been recorded long before I'm even watching it, and it's like, so I'm thinking, all right, maybe it's pointless to do that to that
No,
effect.
never pointless.
Well, but I'll try and jump in on the lives in the live chat and drop it in somewhere in there, just in case, or occasionally I'll see that message, just wait, like just be patient, I but yeah. Sean, did you freeze on me? Oh, there you are. Ah, okay. I'm sorry.
I
I'm
think
having a little.
I think we're back now. I think we're back.
There we are. Yeah, it's telling me my internet is unstable. How dare it?
Urgh.
But that happens. No, I know what it's like to record things early and try to save it for later. Like I interviewed Matthew Jennings from the
I love
1701
him.
Blur. Yeah, he gives you a shout out in the episode,
He's so
but
lovely.
it'll air next week. It will have already aired by the time people see this, but it will air next week. And we recorded this weeks and weeks ago. And then I saw he was on another episode of another podcast, and I asked him, I was like, "When did you record that?" And, oh, just the other day. I'm like, "Yeah, you beat me." Yeah, he's like, "Even though I did mine weeks ago, you still beat me." But yeah, heck of a nice guy. Because I was looking forward to the second season of a Blurred Story, which is he's working on. So it's a good interview. Hopefully you check it out. Like I said, there's a shout out to
Oh,
you and the Sci-Fi Sisters. So
they're lovely as well. I was actually just listening
it,
to them as I was walking to the shop there earlier on. I was listening to their interview with the girls from Resident Alien.
I started it and I had to go and I haven't been able to finish it. So I'm going back to that one. But yeah, I was really impressed that they were able to get them, and I miss Resident Alien. I hate that we're not going to get more. I enjoyed that show. So that's going to be a
I've done three seasons, so it's like I haven't seen the
oh,
final season yet, but I've seen the first
well, I
three
won't.
and I really enjoy it.
No spoiler, obviously. But so outside of Star Trek, let's take Star Trek out of the equation. And obviously, do I know just for a second, do you have something in your life that is all consuming to you that you just would love to talk about? Is there something that people are like, oh, here comes Sean, he's going to talk about Star Trek, and you're like, no, not today. It's going to be this, you know.
That's funny because I mean obviously Star Trek is my number one. Um but I'm a big fan of horror. I really do enjoy horror.
Really?
And every I really like Schitt's Creek. Because I've a good few comfort shows. I do tend to exist mostly in film and television. So, and that to me is my way of both relaxing, having a good time, and sharing that with people as well. I'm not going to lie to anyone. I'm not someone that goes for hikes at the weekend. I have a gym membership. I'm sure they'll be as surprised as I am when I get there. Um, and I think a lot of the things outside of Trek that I do is try to keep my relationships with people going because, you know, get the tiny violin ready here. I live in a sort of a rural era. I'll address that in a second. That Freudian slip. But no, I live in a rural area of Ireland, which, you know, is a bit of a pain in the hoop for people to get to, and likewise for me to get to other people. So I do spend a lot of time trying to catch up with people who, have been very, very kind to be very nice to me, and I would, it's nice to know them back. It's one of the reasons I spend as much time as I do on planes, because there's so many lovely people throughout the world. If a lot of them could come to Ireland, that would be amazing. If we could just get. So it's kind of a good question. Star Trek is a bit all-consuming in a good way, but it is all-consuming. Um, that and drag culture. I'm very into drag culture,
Okay.
and learning more about it, and not just from RuPaul's Drag Race, although that is a hell of a gateway drug. Um, So, like last night, for example, I was out at a show in Glasgow. That was, I don't think I've ever sweat so much in my life, but it was a lot of fun. And it's great just to get out and be around people, particularly queer culture. It is a lot of fun. I don't know if I've answered the question properly. Probably
No,
it's
no,
my
you
way of
have.
going, like, I'm trying to pretend I have other things except Star Trek in my life.
No, you answered it, and it made me think about last week I interviewed Anna Rose. I don't know if
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
and
100%. She's awesome.
she's absolutely wonderful, and she'll be on probably the week before you. But the we spent quite a bit talking about like Priscilla Queen of the Desert. We talked a lot
Mm.
about Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, which I told her, I said, growing up, Chichi Rodriguez did something for me. Like I remember having my first, like inappropriate thought about Chichi Rodriguez. And then I'm thinking, what does that say about me? It was like, but,
It says everything. No.
it does everything. In fact, I mean, I don't have it hanging up. I don't have it hanging up. I have tubes upon tubes of movie posters, and I do have the movie poster for Tu Wong Fu, and I have the movie poster for Priscilla originals,
Wow.
and like they were gifts from friends years and years ago. They also got me a Lizzie McGuire poster one time. Don't even question that one, but.
Why not?
But no, I know that you have run marathons. I've seen you post about that in the past.
Half. I have run a couple of half marathons. I've never done a
Hey,
full
that's more
marathon.
than me.
I've done two, and actually, thank you for because this is a funny story, right? Train,
Yeah.
train for it. Don't do what I did the first time around, which was I had done a few 10Ks. I had built up to 10Ks, and this was just during lockdown, and I was, obviously desperate to get outside the house, and it stuck on a playlist, and I kind of calculated right what would be the distance of a half. I think I had managed to do 15 at that point, right? So I was feeling pretty like, listen, I can do this, So
You
what is it?
got
Yeah,
this.
half marathon, 23 kilometers. Yeah, it's fine, it's fine, fine. So off I went. So I nearly died. And I have never known such pain because do you think I stretched? No. So I have never known such pain. I went and I ran and I walked an awful lot of it back. And because again, lockdown, no buses. So I was like, "Alright." Eventually got home, fell in the door, and said never again. And finally, then when I calmed down, I went, well, maybe again, but we might try it right this time. So that half marathon took me about 4.5 hours to do.
Wow.
I then went, trained up a little bit, and again, I haven't run with a bib. This is just off my back. And I went and I did one in about 2 hours, and I went, that's enough. I've done that now. That is something I can cross off the list. Thank you very much. So what I do now to try and keep my fitness going is I do jog a fair bit, and because I join those I don't do you know the Conqueror challenges?
Yeah, I've heard
This
about it.
so that they're fun. Basically, you make the commitment, you sign up. There is a charge, and then what you'll do is you'll commit to running over a certain amount of time. You can set the clock, like, so if you're away or you can't do anything, you're not going to lose out. The only one you're accountable to is yourself.
Yeah.
So I've done a few of those now, and they have a Star Trek series of medals. So I've just got my fourth, just came in the post the other day, and so it's roughly about 160 kilometers per medal. Some I've done in 5 weeks. Some took longer, and some then I've brought it back down closer to five again. But that's good. Just and you're just running against yourself. It's not a race, but it is a good way to sort of give yourself a kick in the seat to get up and get out because it is very, very easy. As wonderful and amazing and fantastic what we get to do is, a lot of it is sitting in front of a computer,
Yeah.
you know?
The
And when
beauty
you
of
work from home,
the
mm,
beauty of the medals that you're getting too for the Star Trek, these are these are collectibles that you earn. So I mean, it's yeah, it's sure there's going to be somebody on the secondary market going out and buying them and saying, "Look what I did." But at the same time, if you know that you've done it, then it's an accomplishment that you can hold with you, and I can appreciate that even more. I know I could never do it. I love seeing them. I'm not going to go buy one on the secondary market because I'm not fooling anybody. Nobody's like, "Oh yeah, he ran that." But no, I appreciate that. You talk about horror films and you like horror films, which surprises me. I never would have thought that because I don't remember you really giving that impression. Like specifically, I think Strange New Worlds when they had the zombie episode, like that would have been a really good jumping off point for you to touch on that, and there was no indication of a horror love from Sean, and
I think what we did for that one is we sort of focused on the trek of it all, but in it, so right, I can reveal something now because everything
okay,
is since published and great. So, when we got the screen, I think we were maybe had the screener. I'm going to say it was 3 weeks in advance, right?
wow,
Um, and Shuttle to Ken Forey comes up. And I don't want to, I'm not taking credit. I noticed as soon as the first zombie popped up, I went, Ken Forey's the actor from Dawn of the Dead. I see what you've done here. And we were doing a trailer breakdown because the trailer breakdown had come, or the trailer had come out after we had got the screener. And in the trailer breakdown, I went, shuttle to Ken Forey with Ken Forey. And I was like, yeah, delete all of that. No, delete that. Oh my goodness, is that a massive spoiler? Have I just ruined that
yeah,
for? So we took that out. Um, because now I am not the only person that spotted that, and I don't want to say that I spotted that before anybody else. No, I didn't. Uh, what I really enjoyed out of all of that was the day the episode aired, the actor Ken Forey tweeted out, going, "Oh, this is really nice, and I really feel honored about this, and this is great." Because I only saw Dawn of the Dead this year for the first time, so
oh
I
wow,
I'm a big yeah. I just it was one of those. I'd seen the Zack Snyder one
yeah,
years ago, which I actually really enjoyed.
I love that one.
I thought it was good fun. It was very obviously post 28 days later. So this is where I want to get into the weeds of like I love zombie movies in particular. I do like the classic bodies. Zombies are the last ones that scare me. So vampires, I love vampires, but then again, I was raised on Buffy, and then I things like this. So vampires have kind of lost their scare factor. Werewolves are cute. So, they've never particularly scared me. They're just like, no, he's a good boy. And Frankenstein's monster. Have you seen the recent Guillermo del Toro one? It's
I have not.
amazing. It's so
I have not.
tragic. Oh, it's brilliant. It's really, really good.
Okay.
Whereas zombies, anyone can be a zombie if they get bit. And that's scary,
Yeah.
especially in a post-COVID world. Um, but so that is one thing. And just throughout the years, I remember I was 14 or 15, I think. And I'd seen a couple of horror movies at that point. But then, I kind of started seeing things. I saw The Exorcist, I saw Alien, I saw The Omen. I really enjoyed The Omen for a long time, possibly because of the old Catholic upbringing there. Um, but and things like that just stuck with me. And one of the things that I really like in horror, that I also really like in particularly sci-fi, is you can go really cheesy and you can get away with it
Yeah.
in like those kind of genre pieces where sometimes I think it's a bit harder to do that in a sort of a straight kitchen sink drama because if that's supposed to be sort of playing on real life, you expect a little bit more reality. I think in those kind of things, even though the amount of them we watch where it's like, yes, I will do this. But horror to me has always been kind of special. It's been fun. Also, you're watching these sometimes horrific things happening on screen, eating popcorn, going, "Ha, that's silly. You made a bad decision." It's that kind of fun side of it. So yeah, big, massive fan of horror. But and this year, what a year this has been for horror. Sinners is one of the best films I've
Oh,
seen in
so
years.
good. So good. I've
Oh my
told
God.
so many people you got to watch it, and I hate when people say, "Oh, it doesn't look like my kind of film." I'm like, you don't even know what kind of film it is. Like
Yes,
I had no idea.
100%. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like that. It would honestly, I would have a job trying to narrow that down to any one genre. Yes, okay,
Yeah.
it fits in the horror genre, but it's historical, action,
Sci-fi as well.
drama, romance, sci-fi, absolutely, musical,
Oh yeah.
to a certain extent. It is absolutely like Ryan Coogler, just like, you know,
Well,
here's some more awards there, sir.
the one thing and this is really off topic, but like, do you know the legend of Robert Johnson, the musician? He was the legend, the rumor, whatever was that he was a black musician, blues musician that had sold his soul to the devil or at a crossroads, whatever. They touched on it a little bit in Supernatural. That was the first time I'd ever heard about it, and then I read
Okay.
more about it and realized it was based on, I don't want to say reality, but like a mythic legend or whatever. And he was a musician that he had. I'm not a religious person by any means, but in the Bible there is a character of oh goodness gracious, where everything is taken from him. Is it? It's not Job. Is it Job? Yeah, Job. Where
Job's the one
everything's
that gets
taken.
tested for everything.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
gets tested for his life. So Robert Johnson always reminded me of Job, where everything bad happens to him. His child dies, his wife dies, and stuff. He never loses his musical talent and his popularity. And then, he disappeared 10 years and it's gone. And I always thought that was a hell of a legend. And Sinners to me just almost grabs that kind of uh, just mythic story, and I think that's why I liked it so much. And I know I like something when I buy it, and that's that's how much I knew I really loved that movie. So yeah, people go see it if you're into horror, you're into sci-fi. It's a must. So
Uh, and if Michael B. Jordan isn't at least nominated for an Oscar for that, something's gone very wrong.
yeah, I know Golden Globes went out this yesterday morning, but I haven't gone to see. I don't even know if that's something that movies get. Do they get Golden Globes? I don't even know. But you're right. Hopefully an Oscar. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it get its flowers, as it were.
Yep.
But Sean, I know we're getting close to our time, and I want to wrap it up. Honestly, I've absolutely enjoyed meeting you face to face, as it were. It's like I make
Likewise,
the reference.
likewise.
It's like you're on your ship, I'm on my ship. We're on view screens back and forth. And luckily, it wasn't, a Romulan Federation thing. So, um,
Or luckily, one of us isn't on the Yamato.
exactly. Yeah, we don't want
Uh,
that. Um, no, but I want to tell you, I mean, obviously, everybody knows to find you on Trek Culture. They have 336,000 followers currently on YouTube, and they need more. Okay, we need to get them up to 7 million. I don't understand
that would
why.
be awesome.
Exactly. I mean, Trek Culture is definitely one of my favorite places to go. I love everything what
Thank you.
culture. I'm not trying to, you know, go on, the down the rabbit hole, but like Who Culture, Ellie is amazing on Who Culture. And then I like I messaged her yesterday because she's doing the ups and downs for the land, the battle, or the war between the land and the sea. We can't watch it here yet, and it's like,
Yes.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Ah, I can't watch it, and I really want to so much." And I told her, I said, but I'm
If anyone
glad.
was wondering why I'm in the UK at the moment, there might have been a timing thing,
Maybe,
so
but
that maybe I can watch it.
thankfully the ups and downs will be there when I ever I get to it, and that's the beauty of it is you can always go back, and that's the one thing that's really great about the stuff that you guys put out is, even if you're getting into TNG, or you're getting into for the retro ups and downs, or you're getting into lower decks. Now you can go back and those ups and downs are there, and you might go down that rabbit hole. And I love that. I love that you can watch Sean's hair change constantly, and
I'm glad you said it. Yeah.
my
There's a
mom makes
couple I
reference to
can't.
mine. Oh, you got a haircut, I'm like, yeah.
There's a few where, obviously I kind of woke up and went, I just can't with the hair today, and just yeah. There's one or two where I take it right back down to the skull, and I had people messaging me going, "Are you okay?" So no, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I just made a decision. Yeah.
I think my
Uh,
favorite Sean Ferrick time period was when your face was sunburned from going to yeah, from going to the
from
rocks.
walking through a sunbeam. No,
Yeah, and it's just, and I'm wondering, like, how long is that gonna stay? It's like you're gonna have a nice base coat. That's all that mattered.
yeah,
Forever
I
base
remember
coat.
the only time in my life I've met Michelle Hurd, and she was so kind, and I was like, "Can I get a picture?" She said, "Of course," and we took a selfie, and I'm like, "I look like a basted chicken next to this absolute goddess." And right, well, I'm still love the picture because she's in it, but yeah, that was. Uh, if you're going near the Vasquez Rocks in the desert, maybe wear sun cream.
Yeah, oh yeah. I was so happy for you though when that was happening. I was so happy. All the things you were sharing, you were going to the premiere, you were hanging out with Jesse and everything else. Just amazing, amazing footage, amazing stuff. I know I speak for everyone when I say that we appreciate everything that you and Tom and Ellie and everyone at Trek Culture do. You're all amazing, and thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you so much.
And I appreciate your time and coming on here. I hope you have a wonderful holiday and everything that was where you're at, and maybe get some golf in.
I'll try. I'll try to do better than the last time I played golf.
Yeah, well, if it's under 6 hours, you're doing good. So
I think the same way about a half marathon.
there you go. All right. Well, Sean, thank you, and I will hopefully talk to you again some other time. If nothing else, I'm going to be watching your ups and downs for, Starfleet Academy, and I look forward to it.
Excellent.
So,
Thank you so much, Ed. You're a star.
thank you as well. Thank you.